Welcome back to my rundown of the European cars of the year and how well the judges did predicting how influential the cars will become. If you haven't been watching from the start, there's a link to the first part of the series above or in the description. Today it's day 6 and we're looking at the 2010s, a time when the car industry was moving to hybrids and crossovers and dabbling with full electrification. You wouldn't know this future was coming with the jury's first pick, the Volkswagen Polo. Styled by Walter de Silva, who penned the 1998 and 2001 winners, the Alfa Romeo 156 and 147, it had a classic Volkswagen look, a focus on aerodynamics with little emotion. If that was your thing, the Polo was the new Super Mini for you. Customers were keen on taller crossovers, and Volkswagen offered something of a compromise with the Cross Polo in 2010 with raised suspension. Well, that's more like it. The 2011 winner was the Nissan Leaf, arguably the first true practical electric vehicle. Practical, that is, if you could charge it at home overnight and you didn't plan on doing more than 80 miles before you needed to recharge. To be fair, that included a good percentage of the population, especially those who could charge their car at work. Some early EVs had pretty shoddy build quality because they were startup car companies. But this one certainly wasn't the case. It was a Nissan, for crying out loud. It could seat 4 in comfort, along with a bit of luggage. The Leaf certainly signalled that it was possible to produce a fairly practical EV. How much could car companies do to turn this idea into something that was truly practical? Only time would tell. The Nissan Leaf had a lot of range restrictions, but General Motors thought they had a compromise that just might work. The Chevrolet Volt was a car that was going to get the company out of bankruptcy and back into profitability in the 2010s, or that was the pitch to the US government at the time. It arrived in Europe as the Vauxhall Ampera, a plug-in hybrid with about 40 miles of electric range, but with a petrol engine that could take the car as far as you liked. The idea was to charge the batteries at home with just a regular socket overnight, and likely as not, most of your daily commute could be covered electrically. Friends of mine actually had one, and they got a warning after a few months that the petrol was going stale in their tank and the car was going to have to use it to prevent damage. Whilst this was all very clever, the reality was that most people didn't buy into the hassle of plugging in a car every night, presuming that they had a garage to plug in their car in the first places. Garages, certainly in the UK, were used more often as house extensions or dumping grounds, and cars largely remained on the driveway. Some Amperas became company cars, useful for the green credentials of the company, but the drivers again weren't bought into the whole plug-in hybrid thing and just used them as regular petrol cars. The Volt Ampera was a flop in North America and Europe, and GM fell back to making pickup trucks to make its profits. No, what customers wanted were cars like the 2013 winner, the 7th generation Volkswagen Golf. Like previous winners, this was Volkswagen producing a practical car with great handling, economy, or performance if you wanted it. The DSG Automatic was a lot of fun. It didn't look much different from the previous Golf, but judges clearly thought the new version had enough to make it European Car of the Year by a wide margin. It put the Toyota GT86 Subaru BRZ into second place with more than double that car's points. Peugeot had won with the 307 in 2002, and the second generation 308 was crowned 12 years later in 2014. The judges were clearly a little scared of EVs, with the BMW i3 and Tesla Model S being relegated to second and third spots. The 308 might be a nice enough car, but it wasn't the runaway sales success of other cars on this list, selling only 1.38 million cars in 8 years. Not bad, but like Peugeot's wider range, the 2010s were a period where the company stagnated. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. The Volkswagen Passat had been a strong seller in Europe since it launched in 1973, but it had never won a Car of the Year award. That changed in 2015 with the launch of the 8th generation. It's quite surprising that the jury were picking traditional hatchbacks and saloons as winners when so much change was going on around them. Crossovers like the Nissan Qashqai were on every street, but it didn't get much of a mention. In fact, the new version came 5th in 2015 behind the new Ford Mondeo, a car with dwindling sales figures. But the new Passat was a cut above the previous car as Volkswagen attempted to move up market. Yes, the 2016 winner was another hatchback because of course the world wasn't changing, was it? The Vauxhall Astra won for a second time. The last time was 31 years earlier. But then the top 5 cars for 2016 was a list of model names that had been around for a while. There was the Volvo XC40, Mazda MX-5, a car that surely should have won in 1990 instead of the Citroën XM, Audi A4 and the Jaguar XE, a replacement for the X-Type. So the Astra it was. To be fair, it was rather good. The interior had taken a leap in quality, and being lighter, some argued it handled better than both the Focus and the Golf. Finally, we get a crossover. Car of the Year for 2017 was the second generation Peugeot 3008. It was clear Peugeot had produced something rather good. It looked good outside and the interior was premium, with reviewers saying it was up there with Audi. The handling for a crossover was good and certainly better than previous Peugeots. Yes, it was a little pricier than the old model, but look at what you were getting. Peugeot ended up selling almost 1.4 million cars over 8 years. In the 53 years of the European Car of the Year award, Volvo had never won. The 760 got a bronze medal in 1983, as did the V40 in 2013 and the S90 in 2017. They almost won in 2016 with the XC90, but the Swedish, well by now Chinese-owned car maker, finally won in 2018 with the XC40. It also won Car of the Year Japan for 2018 and 2019. Like the Peugeot 3008, it had a great new premium interior and more safety features than you could shake a stick at. This was Volvo after all. European sales slowly ramped up and peaked at 123,000 in 2021. Not a bad figure, and certainly a lot more than competitors like the BMW X2. In 2019, we got our first dead heat. 2 cars got exactly 250 points, and in fact the third place car, the Kia Ceed, got only 3 points less, and the fourth place car, the new Ford Focus, was only 12 points lower on 235. But the Car of the Year committees wanted only one winner, so when counting up the most top marks, they announced that the second place car was the Alpine A110, and the winner was the new Jaguar I-Pace, a crossover EV no less. Surely this was the car of the future, especially as it was £20,000 cheaper than the Tesla Model Y, whilst being just as much fun on the road. Well, the public weren't impressed with poor sales. The I-Pace never made Jaguar any money and production ended in 2024, just 5 years after it launched with such promise. You can still buy an Alpine A110, Kia Ceed or a Ford Focus. Okay, that's it for the 2010s. In the final video, I'll cover the 2020s, and with the 2025 Car of the Year about to be announced, I'll talk a little about the future. That video is on the right, or if I haven't released it yet, you'll find it tomorrow. So see you then.